I would say I was about 98% involved. No, they all went through me. They came over, Rick and Sergio and everybody. They said, I turned down plenty. They were too woke. I had a couple of wokesters. No, we have great people. This is very different than it used to be. Very different. These are great people, and they're not. I don't have any idea the Republican, because I want people that the Kennedy Center has everything. Look at the Academy Awards. It gets lousy ratings now. It's all woke. All they do is talk about how much they hate Trump. But nobody likes that. They don't watch anymore. That used to have 45 million people watching. I remember The Apprentice, first season. The Apprentice had 42 million people. The Academy Awards had 41 million people. We were the second show to the Super Bowl. But since then, the Academy Awards have gone down to, I think they've gone down to numbers that are like a regular show because it went woke. We're not doing it for that reason. We're doing it because we want the great talent. But these are great people. So I was just a very long answer, but I was very involved.
Mr. President, thank you, Mr. President. The Biden administration was auctioning off border wall materials, but we're hearing now that the auctioneers selling those materials back. Are you finishing building the wall?
Well, I built hundreds of miles of wall, and I was getting very close. I actually finished the wall, but then I added another 200 miles because when you do the original wall that I said I was going to build, which I got built, and I got it to the specifications of the Border Patrol and ICE, the exact. They wanted steel, they wanted concrete inside, they wanted rebar inside that, they wanted it to have wires. The walls are wired for, all of the internet stuff and security things. And we built it hundreds of miles. We did great. That's one of the reasons, even now, we're able to have such good numbers at zero, or essentially very little people coming in. But Biden, I ordered for another 200 miles. We were all set to do it. Then we had the bad election result, the horrible, what happened to our country, what they've allowed to happen to our country. And we are taking now that wall back. They sold the wall. Now, this is expensive stuff. Hardened steel, very expensive. 9,000-pound concrete and rebar. Rebar is very expensive, the hardest rebar. No, it's very hard to cut. You have different materials. It's very hard to cut because they cut it down if they can. It's very hard to cut. And Biden sold it for pennies on the dollar, 3 cents on the dollar, 4 cents on the dollar. He sold it. And I said, these guys really don't want it. That was when I first realized, when I saw the wall was being put up, because we could have finished the rest of the wall in about 4 weeks, anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks. It was all set to go. It was laying down, ready to be put up. The foundations were, and they took over, and they said, we're going to sell the wall. And they sold it, as you know, for pennies on the dollar. Well, Pam Bondi's been working very hard on suing that company, and I think they reached a settlement where we're taking the wall back. But they stole the wall from us. That wall is so expensive to build, and we had it, as you know, hundreds of miles of it, and they came along and they basically sold it for scrap. And what a shame that is. But that was when I first realized that these people actually want to have open borders. And no country has poor countries don't have open borders. No, we had open borders where people just walked in. It didn't matter what they looked like, who they were. We had 11,888 murderers, half of whom killed more than one person. Literally killed more than one person. And this is who we took into our country. So the wall is the least of it, but we're going to take the wall back. We're paying a small amount of money, as I understand it, to get it back, to get rid of the litigation. We'll take it back. We'll put it up. Yeah. Go ahead in the back, please.
I want to take it back to the Kennedy Center, if I can, just for a second, Mr. President.
Sure.
From what I understand, the Les Mis show exceeded everyone's expectations. Attendance, revenue, across the board.
That's great.
Do you anticipate future shows to basically do the same?
I like that guy. Now, that's called a question, okay? And he's a great reporter, actually. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, it did great. Les Mis did great, broke records, and was sold out and beautiful. And we anticipate a lot of that happening. There's a thirst for it. And especially when the crime is knocked out. You know, when we knock out crime, some people probably stay away from places like restaurants and other things. It ruins your whole fabric. It ruins your country. And when somebody thinks they have about a 25% chance of getting mugged, they say, let's not go to restaurants tonight. We're going to make it so that they have no chance of getting mugged. And it's going to happen soon. And yeah, we think we're going to have a lot of very successful evenings here. Please.
Will Russia face any consequences if Vladimir Putin does not agree to stop the war after your meeting on Friday?
Yes, they will. Yeah.
What will the consequences
there will be
be?
consequences.
Sanctions, tariffs?
There will be, I don't have to say, there will be very severe consequences, yes. Yeah, please.
Can I ask you a question about the Fed?
Right next to you, please, yeah.
About the Federal Reserve.
Oh, Federal Reserve, my
Posted
favorite.
yesterday
Too late.
that you're
He's too late.
You're considering suing Jay Powell. Can you update us on your thinking about that and tell us where you are in your search for a new chair?
Well, he took a building that could have been painted and fixed, like we're going to fix this building for very little money. And that was in better shape. He took a building and what they did to that building, they built a basement under the building. It didn't have a basement. This is simple to understand. The building is right next to a thing called the Potomac River, the beautiful Potomac River. That means lots of water. And the water is right under the building. And they decide to build a basement under the building in the Potomac River. So in order to do that, you need the biggest pumps that God ever created. And they were pumping their hearts out, but as big as those pumps are, you can't pump it fast enough because it's the Potomac River. If the pump were bigger than this room, you couldn't pump it. But they tried, and they've been building a basement. And I said, why did you want to build a basement? I thought it would be a good idea, sir. A basement is the least valuable floor in a building. I know a lot about real estate. The least valuable thing is the basement. And you don't build a basement under a building that is 2 feet above the river that's right next door. You know, it's right near the river. People don't realize the river's right out their window. And that's the beginning. They did just a terrible job. Instead of, I could take a ceiling like this, they'd rip out the ceiling because they see a crack. Let's rip out the ceiling. And I would fix the crack and I would paint the ceiling. And under the ceiling, they put the most incredible protective material. They go out by 3/4 inch, brand new, gorgeous 3/4 inch plywood and sheetrock, hardened sheetrock. And they had it all over the building. So if a little piece of flake came down, but the problem is when they took the ceiling down and it would hit, they spent millions of dollars on protective material that you didn't have to spend anything. He could have done that job for $25 million, and they spent $3.1 billion. He said 2.7, but it's really 3.1. They just don't want to include one of the buildings in the deal. But it's going to be much more than that. And I think he'll be long gone by the time it finishes because they've got a long way to go. And then I hear they want to hire 3,000 economists. What are they going to do? And he got it all wrong. He's too late. We call him Jerome Too Late Powell. It will live with him forever. I believe that name will live with him forever, along with the name Pocahontas and some of the others. He worked closely with Pocahontas, by the way. She's another beauty. But we have a real problem there. They're way over budget, and they did a job that shouldn't have been done. It was unnecessary to be done. I could have gotten the greatest wallpaper anywhere in the world from the finest stores in the world. I could have fixed up a wall a little bit. It would have taken about 2 hours. And covered it with the most magnificent silk and most magnificent paper for thousands of dollars as opposed to tens of millions of dollars. What a shame it is that they did. But they would take down areas of the building that shouldn't have been taken down. They could have literally been painted, and they didn't do that. So they've got a long way to go. And I think it's just grossly incompetent, but not quite as incompetent as his decision not to do interest rates, take down interest rates, because just like they shouldn't have taken down a ceiling, they should take down interest rates. Every point costs us $360 billion a year. Think of that, $360 billion for 1 point. And we should be down at 1% because we're the leader of the world. We were always the lowest interest rate until like a certain time ago, decade, couple. But we were always, because we were the United States of America. So even if the country was run badly, we were considered like to be super prime. And now he's got us in a bad place. So we're paying $360 billion a year for each point. Now, I believe we should be 3 or 4 points lower. So that's over $1 trillion we pay every year in interest. And it's really just a paper calculation. You sign a document and you save almost $1 trillion because that number equates very much to the bonds that we have to buy. But despite that, we're powering through it, and we have the greatest economy maybe we've ever had. But the housing sector, people aren't able to get good mortgages. They're paying too much because of Jerome Too Late Powell. He's truly incompetent. And we'll be making another, we put a very good man in temporarily in the one spot because one of the people that was appointed by the Democrats left early. And I heard left because that person wanted lower interest rates. And I heard quit, but I have no idea. I'm sure she won't say that. I'll be naming a new chairman sometime within the next, I think I'll name it a little bit early, the new chairman. I'm down to 3 or 4 names, all good, all great. The problem is you name them and then they turn out to be not good. That's happened to me a couple of times. You name somebody, they tell you everything you want to hear, and then they go in and they turn out to be not good. I mean, he told me everything that I thought was appropriate. He turned out to be a stiff, you know, real stiff. But other than that, I think he's doing a very good job, yes? Okay, maybe 1 or 2 more. 1 or 2 more. Yes, sir, please. Go ahead.
Mr.
He looks
President.
like Scott Bessent. Are you the Treasury Secretary?
You don't want me for Treasury.
I
trust
don't
me.
know. I don't know. You look like you could do a good job. Go ahead.
I keep my family budget okay. Sir, when you meet with Vladimir Putin Friday in Alaska,
Yeah.
do you believe you can convince him to stop targeting civilians in Ukraine?
Well, I'll tell you what. I've had that conversation with him. I've had a lot of good conversations with him. Then I go home and I see that a rocket hit a nursing home or a rocket hit an apartment building and people are laying dead in the street. So I guess the answer to that is no, because I've had this conversation. I want to end the war. It's Biden's war, but I want to end it. I'll be very proud to end this war along with the 5 other wars I ended. But I guess the answer to that is probably no, because I would have had a good conversation with Vladimir. I knew him very well. I got along with him great, actually. We had I had to go through the Russia hoax. And it was actually, it was a strain on the relationship. I actually told him, I said, you know, they got this phony investigation going on, Russia, totally phony, created by Adam Schiff, Shifty Schiff, and Hillary Clinton and the whole group of them. And it made it very dangerous for our country because I was unable to really deal with Russia the way we should have been. I'm looking at Pam because I hope something's going to be done about it. These people put our country at great danger. And Adam Schiff, it was all made up. It was a hoax. The Mueller report came out. They all hated me. They had 18 Trump haters. And they said I did nothing wrong. They couldn't believe, they couldn't find anything after years of investigation. It was all a hoax. It was a hoax created by the Democrats, but in particular Schiff and Crooked Hillary, the whole group. And now we've learned all the stuff that's come out over the last 2 months is incredible through intelligence. And hopefully something's going to happen with it. These are people that put our country in danger, in real danger. I want to thank you all very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Act, the signing of the Social Security Act, and also the incredible accomplishments of your administration fixing and promoting and safeguarding Social Security. And it also obviously mentions the fact that as part of the One Big Beautiful Bill, a vast majority of our senior citizens are no longer paying taxes on their Social Security benefits, as you promised in your campaign and as you delivered for the American people.
That's a big factor, isn't it? Huh?
Yes, sir. That's
great. I think they're very happy about it, too. They're very happy about a lot of things. Good job, Frank.
Thank you, sir.
And Frank has brought with him some of the most talented people in business, and that were making, again, they were making a lot of money, but they made a lot of money. They had money they didn't have to make anymore, and they just want to do this. They want to have our country become strong and good, and that's what's happening. And we're doing that in a lot of locations, a lot of areas. You deal with some of the people that are commissioners, that are secretaries of state, secretaries of treasury and of commerce, people that were really, really successful people. And they gave all that up to make a very small amount of money. They don't even consider it a fraction. You say 1%, less than 1%, you're less. That's pretty good. That's a big pay cut. But Frank is one of the most outstanding of all. His career has been incredible, and you just have to look at what happened at J.P. Morgan Chase and look at what happened with First Data. First Data was the biggest company of its kind in the world, but it was not going to make it. He went in, and it became a tremendous success. And merged into another company, and he became the head of that company. Then he said, let me go save Social Security. Because as big as that stuff is, it's small potatoes compared in terms of numbers, right? In terms of numbers, these are big numbers. Government numbers are big numbers. So I want to thank everybody for being here, but I'm really proud of you, Frank. And here's your proclamation, and let's take a look at what that looks like. Signed by the human hand. For a change. That's good, right? Do you have any questions for Frank? How about the questions for Frank?
Mr. President.
For Frank?
Mr. President?
Yes, on Social Security.
Please.
First and foremost, this was a major campaign promise that you had. 2023, it was one of the first Agenda 47s that you put out. It was titled, We Must Protect Medicare and Social Security. Why was this important for both of you to get done, and given the fact that it'll impact millions of lives?
Well, it was very important to me because I knew how Social Security, I've been hearing about it for years, long before I